Songs of life, passion, entertainment, relationships, mochunks TV. Intelligence does not guarantee you a good grade. You still have to work hard. University is less of a memory test and more about application. Next tip, identify what kind of a learner you are. There's there's no third year student that needs to be on Twitter. If you need to deactivate so to get you off that site, it's a critical point in your life. Guys, welcome to mochunkstv and welcome to another installment of Chit Chat with Chunky, where we just talk about life experiences. I give you a bit of advice on certain things and just put my own spin on it. But today, as you can see from the title, we're about to talk about how to win at university. Yes, how to get that first class, how to get that 2-1, how to get a good grade that you'll be proud of and know that you've put your work in and you've got something great out of university. Now, I graduated with first class in a science degree. I did medical physiology, which is a branch of biological sciences, well, technically medical sciences, but everything I learnt in my science degree can be applied to any other degree that you want to do. Obviously, I'd be speaking from the perspective of a scientist, but it's easily applicable to every other degree. I feel like this video is perfect timing as well. I believe the first term, when you come back after summer, they kind of just welcome you back. They're saying, welcome, hope you had a good summer, hope you've been good, we're about to get to work, but we're gonna ease you in because it is the second term of university. This is when it gets really heated and some students start losing the will to live. I know because I've been there, be it first, second or third year, especially third year, because you're realizing, wow, university journey is actually nearing an end and I need to actually make this work. So hopefully this helps you guys. So the number one thing I want to say in terms of how to get a good grade, how to get 2-1 or first class, have in your mind from the beginning what you want to gain out of university. So some people can aim for 2-1, some people can aim for first classes based on what you believe you're able to achieve, based on how well you can work, based on your intelligence, based on past grades, predicted grades from, or maybe you're just entering university, how well did you do in your A-levels? If you got like all A's and A stars, you're likely to be en route to a 2-1 or first class if you work hard. Going off of that as well, one thing I would say is that intelligence does not guarantee you a good grade. You still have to work hard. A lot of people kind of said things like, oh, I knew you were going to get a first class, you're a smart girl, you're this, you're that. Even before I started my university journey, people were saying, oh, you're going to get a first class. But I was there like, because I knew that regardless of what people think of my ability or what my ability is in terms of like intelligence, if you do not work hard, if you do not exercise your brain, if you do not work actively to do your coursework and everything that surrounds being a university student, you will not get those good grades. It's like you can be capable of reading a whole page of an encyclopedia. If you don't read it, you won't know what's on it. And for that reason, I also believe that people who aren't that academically bright, people who might have had bad grades in A-levels or their GCSEs, or they're not what people would call intelligent, I really believe they are capable of getting 2-1s and first classes in university, because it's a whole different ball game. I feel like GCSEs and A-levels, most of it is like a memory test, although there is some application, and that's only really towards the end of your A2s that you kind of start getting those kind of challenges. But university is less of a memory test and more about application. We've taught you this, now how can you apply it? Because there is no way with the system of teaching that you have in university where you get lectured for about an hour or two depending on what kind of course you're doing. There is no way they expect you to just regurgitate all of that information, although you're supposed to be taking notes and stuff like that. But it's not about tell me what I told you, if that makes sense. It's about what did you gain? How much of an understanding, brother, did you gain of what I just lectured you about? Because I know it. I don't need you to repeat what I said. That is literally what university is like. I don't need you to repeat what I said. I need you to tell me how much of what I said do you understand, especially for science degrees. That is a major, major, major key. And I know for law students as well, because I had a friend, Ogechi, shout out to you if you're watching this video. She does law, and I know they had to learn a lot of cases, and yes, there's a memory aspect of it. You do need to know how to remember those cases. But when it came to certain exams, they gave you case studies. So they gave you scenarios that kind of looks like some of the cases that you've learned before. Now it's now up to you, based on your ability to apply your knowledge. You're able to then decide, right, this is this case, this is what I've learned in the past. There's a similar case that happened in 1980 or 1985. Does that make sense? So that is one main thing. Now, there's obviously technique to doing well at uni. The fact that obviously there is the grace of God that gives you ideas when you're doing coursework and ways to plan your essays, but there is technique to it. Heaven helps those who help themselves. You have to do the digging, you have to do the sacrifice before you can see the result, and God kind of blesses your efforts with glory. Guys, university is not somewhere that you can go and be lazy and get away with it. Your grades will suffer. I think it's about consistently working hard. Consistently. You can have your off moments and your times where you have to take a break from everything, but consistent working hard, consistently doing your notes, consistently doing your coursework, consistently seeing your tutor. These are the little things that will make you excel and you coast, rather than you're down here, all of a sudden it's exam season, oh I need to do my notes, oh I need to start revising, oh I need to go and see my tutor, and then effort gets up to here and then you burn out, or then you don't get the grades that you expected because you weren't consistently at this level. One way I managed to keep consistent, because we're trying to be practical with it, is I made an effort and I made sure I never skipped a day of making lecture notes. Now, being a science student, there were days, especially in second year, when we had 9 to 5s, but in between those 9 to 5s there would be breaks. So there would be like an hour gap or 2 hour gap, and then at the end of the day obviously there would be time to go to the library or whatnot. So I had to be very, very dedicated. Again, knowing what you want to get out of university will motivate you, because I kind of knew I wanted to do the best I possibly. I didn't even have a grade in mind. I just, in my head, always wanted to do the best I can do. So what I do is I put in 110, and then whatever my result is, I know that is all I could have done. And even if it was a 2-1, I know I did my best. I never want to, fall short. I didn't study that well, that's why I got that grade. No, I wanted to be like, oh, I studied well, and although I didn't get the best grade, I know that's the best I could have done. So it's a personal thing. Spending those extra times in between lectures, spending that extra hour in the library, spending that extra 4 hours after a 9 to 5 in the library, although it was painful and it was tough, my dedication allowed me to do that consistently. So second year was really hard, in a sense that you guys will hear from my university experience that I was very lonely. Although they were like my course mates and stuff, and we were all really hardworking, but it is really kind of like every man for himself, in a sense that nobody is going to do your coursework for you. You have to do it yourself. So on top of those notes, you do have coursework. So you have to be very, very organized. And one way in which I keep my organization, or I keep it in check, is I have a calendar, a visual calendar. So your diary is great and it's nice to write in your deadlines in your diary, but sometimes, yeah, because you can't see the next week and the next week, you don't know what deadlines are coming up. One of those big calendars, so I can see like for the month when my deadlines are, what lectures I have, and I can plan accordingly. So if I need to put 2 notes, I do 2 notes a day, and I do 10 minutes of my coursework. And if it's that 10 minutes I do each day up until my deadline, as long as I meet my deadline and I keep on top of my notes, then I know I'm on the right track. Don't do too much at once, because sometimes, yeah, what that does is that you burn out and you end up not doing anything at all. My washing machine is going off, so if you can hear that, I'm really sorry. Take every little thing you do one step at a time. I think a little bit every day is what makes a huge difference. So let's talk about coursework. Every university degree, I believe, has some element of coursework. Some degrees are purely coursework based as well. Coursework, it varies for people. I absolutely hated it. I am one of those weird students that prefer exams over coursework, because I feel like coursework is you're all submitting at the same time. It's very subjective of who marks your stuff, so there isn't just one mark scheme, and it's based on the lecturer's knowledge as well. So it's very wishy-washy. There's no set, like, this is what you're meant to, or these are the lines you're meant to be going along. But in first year, I was so crap at coursework. I recognized that this was one of my weaknesses. So I guess that would be my next tip. Recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, and work on your weaknesses so that they meet up with your strengths. So my strengths were exams, but my coursework was making my grades lag behind a little bit. So I found a way to improve on that, and that was I think it was in second year when we were just doing really crap essays as a whole bunch, and they literally just sat us down and told us how to do essays. And one of the things that I used to do initially in first year, I felt like you have to sound like a scholar, you have to add all the higi aga and the crinkum crankum. You have to, you know, formulate one essay that sounds so nice to the human ear. But no, that just shows that you copied and pasted a whole Wikipedia, or you're just trying to sound smart. Do you actually understand that sentence that you just wrote? So the way one of my favorite lecturers, her name is Nina Story at the University of Leicester, the way she kind of explained it was that write your essay in a sense that somebody who does not understand your degree, they're not a science student in my case, can understand every single thing you wrote, and they will be able to be educated on the topic you just wrote an essay on. Meaning you have to be clear. Your sentences have to be so clear. You can't have too long sentences. It has to be literally, this happened, so then this happens, and then because of that, as a result, this happened. PEE, it still stands. Points, example, explanation, it still stands in university. Okay, so don't feel like because you're in a higher institution you now have to be using one higher, more sophisticated style of English. Of course, use your scientific terms, but make sure everything is clear. Does that make sense? Punctuation is a big thing as well for coursework. Always get someone to proofread your essays. And one other key tip with essays as well is that one lecturer, this is why it's not good to leave it till last minute as well. Oh my washing machine. This is why it's not good to leave it till last minute as well. He always says leave your essay after you've done the first draft, the second draft, leave it for like 2 days, come back and read it. You will come with a new eye, like it won't look the same anymore. Sometimes when you read something over and over and over again, you get used to your mistakes and you don't spot them anymore. My coursework got better as a result. I started to get first classes where before I used to get like 2s in my coursework. Another thing I forgot to mention with the consistency, go to all your lectures. Guys, I know it's tempting sometimes, the 9 a.m. There were times that I had lie-ins, yes, I'm not gonna act like a hypocrite. 99.9% of my lectures I was there, because that is the first line of information that you're gonna get. And I'm an auditory learner as well, so I like to hear things. That's why I also recorded my lectures, so when I go back to make my notes, I can make thorough notes directly from the voice of the lecturer before it comes on to revision season, where I start to extrapolate different bits of information. So next tip, identify what kind of a learner you are. There's auditory, there's sensory, and there's visual. I believe it's visual. So some people see things and they remember it better. Some people hear things and they understand it better. Some people have to feel for them to understand. I don't know how that works in a science degree, but there you go. Knowing that, that's a strength. Use your strength to your advantage. If you're a visual learner, make sure you're writing beautiful pictures, you know, especially when you're doing posters and stuff like that, doing revision. I kind of combine the two when I'm doing revision, so I do posters as a visual of what I've heard. Speak to your lecturers as well, guys. I was that student that had to introduce myself to every lecturer, and lecturers as a result knew me. I don't know whether this allowed any bias or anything like that, but I just think it's nice when you know your lecturers. At least they can guide you, they can give you those extra bits of advice that they wouldn't give to everybody else. Or if you did really badly on a piece of coursework, because of the fact that not necessarily a friendship is there, but you can't really call your lecturer your friend, but because they know you, they're able to connect with you on a better level and actually give you real advice on how you can improve on your work. Right, one thing I wish I did better on, and I really did try, but if you can do it, do it. So apart from making your notes consistently over time, one thing that I think is really helpful, rather than the big revision at the end, also make sure you revise every sort of quarterly, if that makes sense. So make sure that I grasp an understanding of maybe the last 4 weeks of work. Not that you have to know it off head, but you have an understanding. So you're building on the knowledge little by little. It's funny, we also did a course on memory and how it works, and that's literally it. There's your short-term memory and there's your long-term memory, and it's all about repetition. The more you look over stuff, the more you read stuff, then you get it more, and then it becomes more ingrained in your memory, and you can then apply it because you really genuinely understand it. Now, as time went on, I dropped more things that I was doing aside from my studies. One of the biggest things I will always say, and I've understood from really young age, is that in life, to be successful at something, yeah, most of the time all you need is consistency, number one, and then there's also the focus aspect on it. If you really want something to work, oh my god, focus your energy on that thing, and that's definitely with me and university. And although certain things suffered, such as my YouTube channel, my social life, I had to slowly reduce those things as I went into third year so I can focus on uni and get the best possible grade. If I graduated with a low grade and I knew I was uploading videos every week, I really have to ask myself, like, who sent you? Because you were meant to be at university, you chose to be there for the 3, 4, 5, 6 years that you're going to be in there, and it's only for a short time as well. That's one thing I want to regurgitate to you guys. Temporary pain for a lifetime of pleasure. And look at me now. I graduated, I lived my best life. I went on 3 holidays in like the space of maybe 6 months. I really spent time refining my peace and refining my balance, waking up late, you know, having those snoozes, because I knew there's a time and a season for everything. There's a time to work and there's a time to harvest. So that time that you are at university, make sure you are focusing. All those going out to rave, to club, start reducing it. If that's what's stopping you from using your Saturday to revise, start reducing it. If it's mandem, start reducing it. Everything that is distracting your focus. If you want your social life and you want good grades, you might as well cancel out sleep. But then it's kind of counterintuitive, because without sleep you can't get good grades. Although some people think it's good to be doing all-night study. In fact, let's even talk about that. Make sure you're that student that plans your studies so well. Anyway, it's subject to individuality, but for me, I am more productive during the day. My body kind of works with what's going on outside. As soon as it's bright, I'm up. As soon as it starts to get dark, in the same way, the energy levels in my body starts to drop and I become less productive. Obviously, there were times when I had to work till like 12 midnight, but that was my cutoff. Maybe I would push it to 1, or like, maybe I can only remember even having 1 or 2 all-nighters, and that was in first year when I was a very excited student, because everybody used to be in the library and it used to be like a social hub. Maximize your most productive time so you will know yourself. If that time is 2 AM in the morning, maximize that and make sure you're doing work and getting enough sleep during the day. If that's how you work, that's how you work. And my next tip, during the critical times in your university journey, it's not when you need to be falling in love. I'm sorry. Third year, yeah, couple man them came, tried to distract me. The Lord fought my battles and their plan did not work. I'm telling you, they are nothing but distractions. If you're in a relationship already, fair enough. And I believe if you're in a relationship, you'll be able to tell that person, oh, I'm focusing right now. Can we reduce maybe? And you're able to understand and have mutual understanding about it. I believe if someone truly loves you, they will wait for you to have more time to be yourself, to spend time with them as well. They won't be selfish. I've kind of done a whole video on exam tips, but like I said, the build up to the exam matters as well as exam season as well. During term time, I cut off extra distractions, so social media is a big thing. During your productive time, you shouldn't have your phone, you shouldn't be talking on the phone. I'm sorry, there's no third year student that needs to be on Twitter. If you need to deactivate to get you off that site, it's a critical point in your life. During term times, me and social media are not friends. I delete the apps off my phone. If I need to go on and do something online, I'll do something online. Do you understand? Like, that's how serious you need to be. And I feel like for me, it was easier because I've always been a serious student, right from like GCSEs, A-levels. Some of you in university, you'll be learning that for the first time, but I'm sorry, you just have to do it. I feel like part of my seriousness, or why I was serious for such a young age, comes from the fact that I spent the first quarter of my life in Nigeria, and in Nigeria, education is a big deal. They kind of do name and shame. They give you positions from first to last in the class. Maybe there's 30 of you. If you come last place, i.e. 30th, as in your results were the worst in the class, they will put it right there on the board and everybody will know you came last place. If you came first place, oh, come and see celebration, everybody will be hailing you like the king. So doing well was like, you know, a motivating factor, like, and that's another reason why I decided for now that I don't want to go back to study medicine, or I don't want to go back and do my masters, because I'm the kind of person that has to give everything my all, and if I'm not ready to give it my all, I just won't do it. I mean, I touched upon God at the beginning, but really and truly, God is what kept me through, especially third year. Have your quiet time if you're a Christian. Don't think because things are getting tough now, you don't do Bible study. If you have to get up 30 minutes earlier to read your Bible, to read a word. And the thing is, I feel like I shouldn't say God understands, but God actually understands. And quiet time doesn't have to be speaking in tongues for 45 minutes. Like, it doesn't have to be extravagant, but honoring God, starting your day with him and ending your day with him, however you want to do it, whether you want to pray during the day. I feel like when the day starts for me, I kind of forget everything else. I'm getting better now because I have less stuff that I'm stressing about, if that makes sense. So I'm able to constantly commune with God, but at least at the beginning and the end of your day, make sure you start it and you end it well. Otherwise, when everything starts with your dissertation, you wouldn't even have time to pick your Bibles up, sisters, unless you're listening to a sermon on the side, which I did every now and again. So make sure God is the central focus, and everything you do it in him. Even down to your coursework, what should I call this title? Ask God. I'm telling you, there's a verse in the Bible about the Holy Spirit will teach you all things. Imagine all things, all dimensions of everything you can think of. So even your coursework, even your exams when you are stuck, call on the name of Jesus and he will guide you through it. And I think one really important tip as well, guys, is believe in yourself. You can do it. You are capable. You are amazing. Your mind is so powerful that all you need to do is believe something, and then you will see it in the physical beginning to manifest, as long as it aligns with what God's will is for your life. Always aim for the sky, guys. And even if you flop or you fall, you will land on one of the clouds. So if you aim for a first class and you get a 2-1, that's still fantastic. And that's all I really have for you guys. I hope those tips really helped. If I think of any others, I'll write an article or blog about it so you guys can go and check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends, comment down below the things I spoke about, and also subscribe to my channel for more. Until next time, guys, peace and love, peace and chunks.